All right, welcome back. We're doing an actual video instead of a live stream for the channel, because a lot of people have been like, hey, there's nothing on the channel. What's going on here? It's like, you used to do all kinds of videos and now you're not really doing any videos. So, what's happening here? What's going on? Stop being a big loser. And I'm like, well, I really can't not be a big loser, but I will try to put some more stuff on the channel. So here we are. The first thing we're talking about today is this right here. This is Talislanta's Ultimate Edition, which I believe is like the 6th edition or the 5th edition. Now, I kickstarted this as well as the upgraded one, which comes with the slipstream and the 3 books and the 5e conversion book, which I don't give a shit about. This book is very well made, and has beautiful art throughout. I mean, look at this. Look at this art. I mean, nothing that Wizard of the Coast is doing is anywhere near as cool as like, a ninja or a giant, And the game itself is very simple. You need, just die 20s really. In order to do any action, which go to the very beginning here, in order to do any action, you roll your attribute bonus or penalty. You take your attribute bonus and penalty. You add it to your skill level, which is denoted as, +1, +2, +3, whatever, right? You roll a die 20 and you compare it to this good old action table. So anyone who's ever played Talislanta, you already know, right? So if you get 6 through 10, that's a partial success, which means you might hit your opponent, but only for half damage. 11 to 19 is a success. 20 plus is a crit success. And then everything lower than that's failures, right down to crit failures, right? That's the game. That's everything you want to do can be handled by that chart. And then, of course, you have all the really cool archetypes, like the little gnomekin, Crystalmancer. Why not, right? And what is a Crystalmancer? Well, it's a mage that all of their magic is revolved around crystals, shaping them, making them, making them grow and shrink, and maybe making blades out of them and harden them so that they can be used as weapons, etc. Crystalmancer. So right now you can get any Talislanta from 1 through I think 4th edition for free just by typing in Talislanta and going to the webpage. And that's, I got to admit, really cool that the guy who created the game is just basically throwing it out there. Anyone can get a hold of it. But, I've got the Epic Edition, so that's what we'll talk about. They changed a few things in that well, first off, the timeline has advanced. So there's that. But certain archetypes that were kind of available to be playable characters in the old game are no longer available to be playable characters, like Styx, the Black Savants, Rajasthan necromancers. Basically, the ones that are 100% supposed to be bad guys are bad guys, and that's just what it is, right? So that's cool. I can dig it. There's a couple of things I really wish were still there, but that's the way it is with games. Things happen, whatever, right? So other than that, it's really the same Talislanta you've known and loved if you've loved Talislanta since the mid to late 80s. So I definitely give it 2 thumbs up. But then again, I'm a Talislanta freak. I love Talislanta. As a matter of fact, when these guys are affixed to their base, I am going to paint these Goliaths up to look like thralls. And that means they're going to be covered in just tattoos everywhere, because that's how thralls do. Now, will that make them maybe limited in use with other versions of role-playing games? Maybe, but I've got enough miniatures that making a couple, like Talislanta specific, like this guy is a Cimmerillion wizard, it's not a big deal. It's not a big deal for me if I have to put them on the shelf and that's all that they ever get to be. That's okay, right? So I've got another airship I need to finish too, by the way. But pretty much in Talislanta, you pick an archetype, you modify it by spending XP and adjusting the attributes somewhat so that the character can be a little bit more customized into what you want it to be. And then you begin play. What I have done for my group is I am making it where the group, everyone in the group has to come from the 9 Kingdoms region. And the reason is it cuts down on the number of archetypes you got to deal with. Plus, all the people of the 9 Kingdoms are friendly with each other. So you won't have to end up with characters that just absolutely hate some other character in the group. That's no fun. Nobody wants that. So, yeah, we're not going to do that. And that would be my suggestion to anyone out there wanting to run Talislanta. Just pick the 7 or 9 kingdoms, depending on the era you are playing in, and tell the players they have to pick their archetypes from those areas. Now, if somebody really desperately wanted to play an Aramite swords fighter, well, the Kingdom of Aram does border the 9 kingdoms or 7 kingdoms. So, I mean, you could be like, okay, fine. I'm not saying you got to be super hardcore about everything, but at the same time, you kind of don't want people being like, well, I'm going to play a King Warrior or a Saurian Dragon Rider, unless you think you can just handle a free-for-all. And then you're going to let characters pick their archetypes from throughout the whole continent and even places beyond the continent. Because there are some playable archetypes in this game that don't even come from the material universe. They come from like the realm of the dead or, the underworld and all this sort of thing. So, it can be the thing with Talislanta, and I've said this multiple times, and some people get a kick out of it and some people don't, but it is a fact. Talislanta is what the guy who wrote Eberron was really hoping he could write, but unfortunately he couldn't. And in my opinion, which is the only opinion that I care about really most of the time, Talislanta, or skip and flip that, Eberron is basically like the Wish version of Talislanta. It's like take all of the really coolest stuff out of Talislanta, then make it use 3rd edition D&D rules and call it Eberron, right? Because there is nothing in the Eberron setting that does not exist in Talislanta times 10, Like if you want airships, well, they're in Talislanta. That's, if you want to play a automaton, if the story or the GM says it's okay, there are automatons you can play. The things you can't play are weird elves or, you know, weird halflings that ride dinosaurs, etc. Because they're, you know, Talislanta always says, still no elves. Well, there's no dwarves or halflings either. The closest thing to a D&D race in the game, a fantastical D&D race, is probably the gnomekin. And even they are very different than gnomes in D&D, right? The vast majority of archetypes are humans. They may not look like Earth humans. They might have, you know, amber colored skin or light green skin or whatever, but they're humans. And some of them might even have pointy type ears. So you're like, is that an elf? No, it's not an elf. It's just a human with pointy ears, right? Uh, that's, I mean, as close as I guess you could really call it. So, yeah, if you played D&D a lot and you really, really liked Eberron, do yourself a favor. Check out Talislanta. It is a better freaking game in every way. I mean, the rules are better. Like what you play is wide open. Like you can play a fighter mage, a thief mage, a thief, a fighter thief. Like because it's skill based, you don't worry about classes. There are no classes. Once you pick your archetype, you're done. You can just spend your XP however you want, right? And so if you want to play a specific type of character that you've got in your head, you absolutely can do that. And that kind of freedom is so nice, you know, to have in a role-playing game that I'm just like, yeah. Now, the other thing I got is True D6 Fantasy. And it's just a, you know, a fantasy game, but instead of rolling die 20s or any other dice, you just roll a die 6 and try to roll equal or underneath your attribute, plus some other modifiers. I like it. It's simple. I don't know that I'll run it, but I like it. But back to Talislanta, yeah. My advice is pick a region and tell all the players they have to pick characters from that region. You'll thank me because it'll just make everything way easier for you, right? And then just kick back and enjoy. Now, you know, you'll hear a lot of people moving to the next step. You'll hear a lot of people talking about one thing they hate in D&D is magic shops. Well, in some of the cities of Talislanta, there are magic shops literally on every street corner. And the reason is, like in the city of Cimmeria, I believe, half the population there are mages. And almost every mage, regardless of what their particular school is, can enchant magic items. So, you know, low-end magic items, like the kind of magic item that might give you a +1 to hit or damage or something, they're not uncommon, right? Now, big magic items are super rare because they're so hard to make. But low-end magic, not a big deal. Potions, not a big deal. As a matter of fact, depending on the kind of characters that players choose in your campaign, a lot of the players in your campaign will just be able to make potions regardless. So that's something you might want to just get used to, is the idea that the players will be able to brew up different potions. If they're artificers, they'll be able to create different you know, art items, possibly even homoculi and things like that. So it is very high magic, very high magic. There's magic everywhere. And that is, on the one hand, a very interesting thing. And on the other hand, it can also be a very dangerous thing. So, yeah. And that's really all I got to say. I'm not going to make this video super long. 15 minutes is about long enough. So let me find my mouse so I can end it. But Talislanta Ultimate Edition, I like it. You can get the PDFs on Drive-Thru RPG currently. I don't know about the hardbound books, if they're going to be available after the Kickstarter has happened, but hopefully they will be, and you will want to purchase them. If you want to give it a shot. The books are beautiful, the art is beautiful, but I mean, really, the PDFs are all you need, especially if, like me, you got a laptop that you keep at the table so that, they're searchable and everything like that. So you can just click around and do whatever you need to do. So I really like the PDFs as well. They're really good. They're really useful. They're efficient. They're just good. So Talislanta, if you've never checked it out, you should. It is basically a fantasy role-playing game set in a completely alien world where, I mean, it's just not Earth 0.0, with magic. It's so different and yet at the same time so awesome. So yeah, check it out. I think you might actually like it. And with that, I bid you adieu.